Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for high-level traders to learn valuable trends and strategies, connect with other top traders, and become consistently profitable. Click the link in the description of this video to receive a special offer on our revolutionary PS60 training, access to our daily interactive webinar filled with experienced traders, and so much more. Space is limited, so make sure you don't miss out.
I really believe, I really believe from the trading aspect. And again, I'm always the believer that, there's a million websites you could go on and you'll get this whole rundown of what happened. Okay, we're traders. Okay, we're traders. Look, is it important to understand what's going on the macro side of value so you can form your opinion, right? Absolutely. But I think more people concentrate on headlines and really try to dissect the headlines than trading off them and understanding the market sentiment based on those headlines. If you look at the market, the indexes, again, the indexes for me mean absolutely nothing. They're basically, if you're watching this for the first time, for me, they're basically just a water cooler conversation piece. Right now, that means nothing. The stock market died a long time ago, years ago. Now it's just all about a market full of stocks. And when you enter an arena that a market full of stocks, instead of trading the stock market, a lot of old myths, they kind of die with it. The old myth of, well, summer trading is slow. Oh, who wants to trade summer trading? That's out the window. Who wants to trade on a Friday? Fridays are boring. Nothing's going to happen on Friday. Fridays, oh, forget about Fridays. You only get to trade Monday to Thursday. These are all myths. Okay, these are all myths. These are all almost like subconscious crutches that traders use, especially aspiring traders use, that are really screaming out that, we don't have a lack of, we have a lack of process. We really don't know what we want. We're trying to be patient, but we don't know exactly what we're trying to be patient for. And the result is you're really leaving, you're really leaving 4 days a month that you could be looking at a premium, right? And again, nobody knows if you're going to have a premium hand, but you're almost subconsciously already leaving a possible 4-day premium hand for the month. Okay, that's four for the month. Like, why would you possibly, why would you possibly give that up? That's 48 days throughout the year that you're subconsciously saying that, Fridays are dead. Combine that with the start of the summertime, nothing's going to happen. Again, process is process, guys, especially if you're new traders. Process, doesn't get excluded because it's a Wednesday, a random Tuesday, a Friday, okay? Your process is either going to be highlighted, okay, or it's not, okay? And the sooner you start really eliminating the noise, really eliminating all the wives' tale, scenarios of the past, right? The better chance that you're going to have more longevity. Now remember this, if you're an aspiring trader, your only job, okay, right now for the first 3 years, okay, is obviously finding the process, developing the process, embracing the process and moving forward. And that all is about screen time. So if you're removing 48 days for the year, that's 48 days that you're losing on valuable screen time that you don't get back. All those scenarios that you could recognize a reload seller, reload buyer. All those scenarios that you're recognizing that bears are getting trapped at lower channels, that the squeeze could be on further. All these different scenarios, good news being, good news, for example, being completely omitting and the stock is selling off. All these different scenarios and 100 different more are all out of your hands. You're not recognizing it because you're giving up days. Okay, you're giving up days throughout the month. You're giving up days throughout the year that somebody told you or you heard that there were dead days and nothing's going on. So perfect example on Friday, right? Friday was, at least you can make a legitimate case. Okay, now there is a kind of an asterisk to this. Now you could have made a legitimate case. Well, after the nasty weather that we had, especially in the Northeast, that the long weekend before Memorial Day, many people, and including a lot of my buddies, took off on Friday because, again, long weekend, horrible weather. Let's try to get, people going out to the Hamptons, to Cape May, to the Jersey Shore, all these different places throughout the Northeast, and a lot of hedge fund managers that are running a lot of money are not going to be there supporting prices one way or another. So at least you could have made that case. However, if you are a professional trader, that's your choice. You make that choice. You already put in the work. You already put in the countless hours. You're already in the foxhole. You already been through the battles. You already have the scars. So you could have the luxury to take off those days. If you're an aspiring trader, you're trading only 3 years, you have no right to do so. Even if you don't trade, you must sit there, watch the order flow. You must sit there, recognize trends. You must sit there and incorporate as much order flow as possible, because if not, again, you don't get those days back. And again, all of a sudden, those structural balances that you believe to be kind of a myth, there's nothing going on, you will be losing on potential premium hands. So if you look at Friday's session, right? If you look at Friday's session, it was incredibly very aggressive, but in very sporadic parts. So if you go through the Friday session, you could clearly see, okay, you can clearly see pockets of really good aggressive strike. Now, before we start talking about the individual setups, we have to look back, right? We have to look back and look at the technical view of the markets. Number one, you really have to like what you're starting to see with the NASDAQ 100. Again, it's not going to be obvious because we're kind of clumped into this channel here, right? You kind of clumped into this channel here, this 170, 170, 167 level. And again, you could go back to almost 2 weeks of action. And a lot of people turn around and say, well, the market's choppy, right? The market's choppy. And again, my answer to that is it's only choppy based on individual process. If you're trading some mid-cap stock and that mid-cap stock is trading between 26 and 26 and a half for 2 weeks, then yes, the market's going to be choppy. Again, the reason why I trade beta, okay, is because again, they're the most aggressive stocks in the market. The Teslas, the Nvidias, the Alibabas, the Amazons, the Googles, the Netflixes, and on and on and on. Even when the market's choppy, they do provide most days such ranges that at least you can get cash flow, and sometimes on both sides of the market. So for one man's choppy is another man's value, and that's kind of what we got. So when you're looking at this kind of cluster, right, this really tight cluster, you have to look out on the surface to see exactly what's what. Number one, you had the market breaking above, okay, holding this 167 level and breaking above this support, the supply right here, 169.71. Now, again, you could turn around and make a case and say, well, we got rejected off this linear regression line. But again, going back to it, you have to look, and this is definitely the highest close in this whole formation. And within this tight channel, right, within this tight channel, you really have to start liking to see either some of the formations that some of these beta names are taking, or where they are right now coming out of aggressive channels. So if you look piece by piece, when somebody's garbage, right? When somebody's trash is another man's treasure. So somebody's trash, quote unquote, choppy market, and you look at how the beta stocks are starting to set up, already starting to progress outside the channels, you really have to like it. So when you look at the S&P, that rose 0.3%, again, no earth-shattering headlines on the surface. When you look at the Dow, that was down less than 0.2% for the week. Again, no earth-shattering channels to be talked about. But when you look at the NASDAQ 100, right? When you look at the NASDAQ 100, we were up 1% for the week. And when you start looking at the macro setups, you see why. Netflix, beautiful breakout. Beautiful breakout. We had this thing in the middle of the week on this 332 break, confirmation above the 334 area. If you go through my Twitter feed for the whole week, and again, I always try to capture the screenshots that we take from our private Twitter feed. Again, we don't pick and choose. The pivots are there. We don't pick and choose. And for all you guys who are on our private Twitter feed, obviously you know that. So there was some phenomenal moves. So you had a macro aggressive move in Netflix, right? Big aggressive move in Netflix. You started seeing a really good, strong, aggressive starting move in Boeing shares. I mean, look at Boeing. You're starting to see big moves in Boeing shares. Boeing's starting to come out of a channel. Look at Alibaba. Again, really a pretty decent trade on Friday. Could have been a lot better, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But again, Alibaba is starting to come out of a range. You got Amazon that unfortunately we sold on Friday. I really didn't want to. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to hold it over the long weekend. We bought it off this range right here when it started building above this 1595. So we got long on the close in that 1599 level. We sold it between 1609 and 1610. I really like the setup here. I just didn't want to hold over the weekend. We'll talk about that at Morning Strategy Tuesday. I still like it. I think it still goes high. I just didn't want to have exposure over the weekend. But again, you can see the formation. You can see how Amazon is starting to build. And again, once it gets above the 615, 616 area, it should test its earnings high. So you have to love the formation there, right? Look at the video, right? Shaking off a lot of shaking off the post earnings, right? The post earnings meltdown, the whole Citron situation. Now you can see it's just building above the 10-day moving average. And again, as we discussed in last week's video and previous YouTube videos, you'll see again the whole concept of if the birth of the trade is above the 10-day moving average, then you really have to like the way the last 2 days is building above the 10-day moving average. So you really have to like what you're seeing right now in beta land. Even Tesla woke up a little bit. We had just a phenomenal trade last week. Last week on Tesla, caught both of these downdrafts. I really like the form. I like the fact that it's building, okay, but not for you, not for you perma bulls. I like the way it's building to the downside. Again, if you go to last week's video, you can see why I like it, and not on the bullish side, why I like it on the bearish side. I'm just waiting for this whole formation to confirm. Once it starts confirming here to the downside, again, look how much room you have. Look how much room you have to the January, February, March, April 2nd lows, right? April 2nd lows is 244. So you can see all the supply as well. And again, if you believe that the 10-day is the birth of the trade, then you have to understand and appreciate how it keeps on getting rejected off the 10-day. It keeps on rejected off the 10-day. So yeah, can it have one more move back to the 10-day? Absolutely. But I'm waiting for that macro channel to confirm to the downside. And again, for all your option players, once it starts confirming the downward channel, you should really have your ducks in a row set up to capture value on the upside. So Friday session, again, the myth, Friday slow, summertime slow. Really got evaporated very, very quickly. Talk about some of the pivots that we had. We only have 4 in the room. Baidu, okay, Baidu, who got really, really beat up on the resignation of the number 2 in charge of the company. Look at the 60-minute channel. It confirmed. Again, you can go through my Twitter account on Friday. You could see here 244 was the build, right? 244 was the build oversupply. Once it built oversupply at 244, stock went to almost 246. Twitter really didn't do anything as much as I thought. We put this in the channel. 33.75, 33.80, only went to 34, so it really wasn't anything there. Roku was big. Roku was a big mover. We talked about Roku pre-market. At Morning Strategy. We tweeted this out in our private feed pre-market and said, hey, watch the 3610 build. If this goes, it should be good for at least a scalp. Again, I didn't anticipate all this. Okay, I didn't anticipate all this. Went to all the way to 39. So that was pretty good as well. But the big move, was this Alibaba. The potential big move was this Alibaba. We were waiting for this Alibaba move for 3 weeks. 3 weeks we were waiting for this move 200. Again, you could turn around and say, yes, it was a crowded trade. Everybody and their mother, I think even my mother called me up, which doesn't even know what a stock is, said, hey, when's this breakout on Alibaba? But yeah, look, you could turn around and make an argument. It was a crowded trade. But again, it doesn't make a difference sometimes. Sometimes, the crowd is right. Most of the time they're not, but, a lot of times the crowd is right. So everybody's waiting for this $200 break. I started buying this thing on a sneaky pivot. Here's the opening range high right here into supply, which was 99.43. So I bought it on the sneaky pivot here. Okay, and again, for all you guys who don't know the sneaky pivots, welcome to PS60 theory. That's the whole point. The value is not at the top of the range or the bottom of the range. The value is the meat, right? It's not the bun or it's not the tomato or the lettuce. The value is at the, is the values of the sneaky pivots. So I bought Alibaba at 99.50, and then just like everybody else on the planet, we were waiting for that $200 break, waiting for that $200 break, waiting for that $200 break. There was a battle of, epic proportions at 200, a gazillion shares, no exaggeration. That's an analytic word. There was a gazillion shares at 200, and they finally snapped it, and it exploded. So I added more on that 200 break, added more on that $200 break. So it exploded up to 201 and a half. That was the high, and the most important part of that conversation, of that trade, was, I started making sales. So I sold some sales up $1.30, made some more sales at 201.30. So I made some more sales along the way, and I kept the runner. And I logged off. I thought by by next week it was going to get to, 205, 206, and it still might. But the moral of the story is, we never are guaranteed anything. Okay, we're never guaranteed anything, and that's why I always say, take money along the way. You cannot you cannot go broke taking profits. And the moral of the story is, it's true. And a lot of people, they sensationalize trades, okay, in their minds. Oh my God, the $200 break, I'm not selling it before 205. I'm not selling it before 210. There's no way I'm selling it before 220. And a lot of times you realize that, you don't make sales, and that profits that you had, that you were guaranteed in the money when you were in front of you, all of a sudden become pipe dreams. Again, you're chasing rainbows. You're so sensationalizing that trade in your head that you actually miss the profit and turn it into a loss. And when I was sitting, I think it was at Starbucks, whatever the case may be, I was looking, and I checked where Alibaba was, and then I realized I got stopped out break even on my runner, and the stock went to 199. So the moral of the story is, again, guys, when you're trading something technically, yes, of course, trust the charts, trust technical analysis, but you have to. It's crucial to take prices along the way up to feed yourself. You don't work for free. You don't wait 3 weeks for a break, right? You don't wait 3 weeks for a trade to take part and not take any profits in the trade. It just doesn't make any sense. So don't chase rainbows. Always take money along the way. And most important part is, again, just understand that everything adds up in the end. So going into this week, guys, again, we're off on Monday, so please don't wake up on Monday and try to log into your account and then scream at the top of your lungs that your broker stinks because your platform is down. We're closed, okay? We're closed, so enjoy the extra day off. For all you guys who are, before we go into the kind of the technical view of it, all you guys who are trading and you want to be part of the live feed, the live Twitter feed, again, it's only $20 a month. If you trade beta, it's a no-brainer. Again, nothing takes, nothing. There's no substitute to the live webinar. If you want to see how these things are played out and broken down into the many moving parts, that's the place to be. But if life happens and you work full time or whatever the case may be, that Twitter feed is phenomenal. I mean, it is. It is. If you trade beta, it's pretty damn good, and it's only $20 a month. So going into this week, you have to like what you are seeing in beta. Okay, there's lining up pretty well. For all you guys who are getting the nightly email, you'll see it on the bottom above the option flow. That beta is setting up really, really well, really well, and I'm pretty excited about the start of the week. So going into this week, you have to like what we're seeing. Again, bullish from the bullish aspect. I think once the Qs reestablish that 130.33 level, okay, 170.33 level, and close above this linear regression line, we should have a measure channel move back to this 172.70s, 173 level once the Bollinger Band expands. So guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy, get some rest. Always say a prayer, again, especially for everybody who has sacrificed their life for our freedoms and continue to serve in the military, and just everybody that's just making the human structure good. Doesn't even need to be a military person. It could be a doctor, lawyer, nurse, teacher, anybody. Is anybody who's working for the common good. Just be a good person. It's just so easy. Okay, life is so hard, but it's so easy just to be a good person. It's not even funny. Just be a good person. Learn to smile. Learn to do something positive for the greater good of mankind, for your kids, for your loved ones, for your family, for your dog, for God's sake. Just be nice to somebody. Have a smile, and life becomes that much easier. Guys, God bless. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you all on Tuesday. Thank you.